This is an MJA Inc. Investigations warning. This MJA podcast is rated E for explicit. Some details of a case and language used on this podcast might be upsetting to some of our listeners. Listeners' discretion is advised. And for those who are still with us, kick back and enjoy the show.
Does it look like in heaven? Is it peaceful? Is it free like they say? Does the sun shine bright forever? Have your fears and your pain gone away? Here on earth it feels like everything good is missing since you left. And here on earth everything's different. There's an emptiness. Oh, I hope you're dancing in the sky, and I hope you're singing in the angels' choir. I hope the angels know what they have. Out there it's so nice up in heaven since you arrived. Now tell me, what do you do up in heaven? All your days filled with love and light. Is there music? Is there art and invention? Tell me, are you happy? Are you more alive? 'Cause here on earth it feels like everything good is missing since you left. And here on earth everything's different. There's an emptiness. Oh, I hope you're dancing in the sky, and I hope you're singing in the angels' choir, and I hope the angels know what they have. Out there it's so nice up in heaven since you arrived. Since you arrived.
When there is an ending, there was a beginning. Every victim has a picture to paint. Every true crime has its time and place. Please join our MJ podcast, the series Deep into the Woods, Missing Persons, Unsolved Crimes, and the Does. Welcome to our MJA podcast, the series Deep into the Woods, Episode 16, Part 9, 12 Missing Person Cases. There is an epidemic in the United States when it comes to missing persons since the 1970s, with the numbers climbing each year. Our law enforcement, missing person groups, and advocates are overwhelmed by the high numbers of missing people. It's mind-boggling that you can vanish without a trace, leaving no witnesses or evidence behind that might point investigators in the right direction. The NCIC reports that over 600,000 people go missing each year. Just think about that for a moment. There are many adults and children who are found quickly, alive and well, but several thousands of them remain missing. It's like the Grim Reaper is on every corner of our nation, claiming victim after victim with no end in sight. In your lifetime, you have a 47% chance that you will know someone who comes up missing or someone who has been murdered. It's a family's worst nightmare when a loved one goes missing without a trace. Some of these cases won't have a lot of info about the case, but these types of cases needs to be profiled and never forgotten. Please join us as we step back into time. Good evening. My name is Mark, and I will be your host for tonight's show. Joining me later will be our co-host, Olivia. We are coming to you from Morrisonville, New York, located in the Adirondack Mountains. They have vanished without a trace. 1 minute they are there, and the next minute they are gone. Case 1. It was on July 2nd, 1999 is when 15-year-old Travell Lamar Henley, a black male, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Columbus, Ohio. Case 2. It was on April 14th, 1965 is when 17-year-old Elizabeth L. Franks, a white female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Toledo, Ohio. Case 3. It was on August 8, 1997 is when 39-year-old Casey Jean Morgan, a white male, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Marshall, Texas. Case 4. It was on November 23rd, 1989 is when 21-year-old Lorraine M. Light, a white female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Spring, Texas. Case 5. It was on July 5th, 1993 is when 17-year-old Aaron Holmes Silverman, a white male, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Norfolk, Virginia. Case 6. It was on April 6, 1985 is when 21-year-old Kimberly Jane Britz, a white female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Charlottesville, Virginia. Case 7. It was on January 25th, 2012 is when 21-year-old Gene Jacob Cloud Jr., an American Indian male, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Black River Falls, Wisconsin. Case 8. It was on December 12th, 2003 is when 23-year-old Becky Marie Barzo, also known as Becky Kramer, who is a white female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Case 9. It was on May 4th, 1998 is when 26-year-old Thomas James Mixon, a white male, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Buffalo, New York. Case 10. It was on April 9th, 1995 is when 17-year-old Robin Frances Murphy, a white female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Carmel, New York. Case 11. It was on October 1st, 1994 is when 20-year-old Jerry Dolphin, a black male, disappeared and vanished without a trace from West Haven, Connecticut. Case 12. It was on November 1st, 1974 is when 13-year-old Lisa Joy White, a white female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Vernon, Connecticut. Let's take a pause for the cause, and when we return, Olivia will be on the line, and we will profile 12 missing person cases. Be back in a moment. Welcome to our MJ podcast, the series Deep Into the Woods, episode 16, part 9, 12 missing person cases. We have Olivia on the line. How are you doing tonight?
Doing well.
And are you ready to dig into these unsolved mysteries?
Yes.
Welcome to the state of Ohio. The Doe Network has 37 males and 68 females listed as being missing from the state of Ohio. Case 1. Welcome to Columbus, Ohio. Missing male. On that day of July 3rd, 1999, several witnesses claimed to have seen a 15-year-old Henley walking down the street and enter a house on Republic Avenue. This was the last known sighting of the 15-year-old Henley. 2 days after Henley disappeared, the house that Henley had entered was firebombed. When police searched the house, they discovered blood, bullets, shell casings, handguns, clothing, and personal identification for the 15-year-old Henley. On July 3rd, 1999, the 15-year-old Henley was reported missing to police by his grandmother. Before Henley's disappearance, the 15-year-old Henley was known to associate with the Northside gang called the Bloodstone Villains. But Henley was not a member of the group at that time. The 15-year-old Henley was interested in becoming a member of the gang and suffered a severe beating as an initiation rite to gain membership. The 15-year-old Henley has no juvenile record. On June 28, 1999, Henley was shot in the hand and told his grandmother that he had shot himself by accident. Police thinks the shooting may be connected to the disappearance of the 15-year-old Henley. Foul play is possible. If you have any info concerning the disappearance of 15-year-old Travell Henley, please call the Columbus Police Department Officer Jim Mikowski at 614-645-4545.
Case 2. Welcome to Toledo, Ohio. Missing female. It was on April 14th, 1965, when 17-year-old Elizabeth L. Franks, a white female, went missing and vanished without a trace in Toledo, Ohio. 17-year-old Franks, also known as Beth Wilson, but Bessie, last seen in Toledo, Ohio right before Easter in April of 1965. 17-year-old Elizabeth Franks was married to a 20-year-old man at the time, having gotten married about a year after becoming pregnant. The husband admits to getting into a fight with Beth just before she disappeared, but said he couldn't hurt her. The husband claimed they argued after he caught his 17-year-old wife with another man, and that 17-year-old Franks left him. Elizabeth Franks' mother last seen her daughter right before Easter, and Franks visited her mother's home. A few days later, the mother went to Elizabeth Franks' home. The landlady left the mother in when no one answered the door. The mother found the home was trashed in every room. The landlady told the mother she heard a lot of commotion the night before. Elizabeth Franks' mother made a police report on her daughter's disappearance. The mother and her sister canvassed Toledo looking for the 17-year-old Franks. The victim's mother searched for her 17-year-old daughter for years and hired a private detective to try and find her daughter. Nothing has been turned up, and the original police report has been lost over the years. Elizabeth Franks has never contacted any relatives and has never used her Social Security number. 17-year-old Franks left behind a 1-year-old daughter. Foul play is possible. If you have any info concerning the disappearance of 17-year-old Elizabeth Franks, please call Lucas County Prosecutor's Office, Investigator Tom Roth at 419-213-4700.
Welcome to the state of Texas. The Doe Network has 207 males and 236 females listed as being missing from the state of Texas. Case 3. Welcome to Marshall, Texas. Missing male. It was on August 8, 1997 is when 39-year-old Casey Jean Morgan, a white male, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Marshall, Texas. On that day in the early morning hours, the 39-year-old Morgan was last seen at around 4:30 a.m. when Morgan left his job at the Waffle House restaurant at the Gas Express on Highway 59 in Marshall, Texas. The vehicle belonging to the 39-year-old Morgan, a pickup truck with Texas license plates, was discovered abandoned in a wooded area of Marion County, north of Marshall, sometime after Morgan was last seen. The truck was locked, and Morgan's .30-30 Winchester rifle was missing from the vehicle. There were bullets scattered on the floor. There was no sign of the 39-year-old Morgan at the scene. It was later reported that on August 7, 1997, Morgan told his father and a co-worker that he had been threatened by some loggers. Morgan's father planned to meet with his son the following weekend to discuss the issue. If you have any info concerning the disappearance of 39-year-old Casey Morgan, please call the Marshall Police Department, Lieutenant Patrick Clayton, at 903-935-4546.
Case 4. Welcome to Spring, Texas. Missing female. It was on November 23rd, 1989, when 21-year-old Lorraine M. Light, white female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Spring, Texas. The 21-year-old Light was last seen when her mother-in-law dropped her off in the parking lot of Light's apartment at about 2 a.m. Earlier that evening, the 21-year-old Light had gone to get groceries to make Thanksgiving dinner for her 3-year-old daughter. After that, Lorraine Light went out with friends. When a sister who shared an apartment with the 21-year-old Light came home at around 3 a.m., Lorraine Light wasn't there. In the kitchen, the sister saw grocery bags on the floor and the turkey defrosting in the sink. The answering machine was blinking. When the sister played the message, she was confused. Wallace said it was Lorraine, but it didn't sound like her. and she was saying she had met someone and was going to Mexico for a few days. Lorraine Light's sister knew Lorraine would not have left, especially on Thanksgiving. 21-year-old Lorraine Light didn't show up. By Thanksgiving evening, her sister got concerned. Light's sister called the police, and Harris County Precinct 4 constables responded and put the missing person report. At some point, the case was transferred to the Harris County Sheriff's Department Homicide Division. Foul play is possible. If you have any info concerning the disappearance of 21-year-old Lorraine Light, please call the Harris County Sheriff's Office, Homicide Division, 713-221-6000.
Welcome to the state of Virginia. The Doe Network has 35 males and 56 females listed as being missing from the state of Virginia. Case 5. Welcome to Norfolk, Virginia. Missing male. It was on July 5, 1993, is when 17-year-old Aaron Holmes Silverman, a white male, disappeared without a trace from Norfolk, Virginia. The 17-year-old Silverman was last seen leaving a party with a female companion and has not been seen since. At the time, the young 17-year-old Silverman did not get along well with his parents, and Silverman used drugs. He wasn't reported missing until a couple of weeks after he was last seen. The 17-year-old Silverman didn't take any clothes or personal items with him. Silverman didn't tell anyone he was leaving, and his friends claim they last saw the 17-year-old Silverman in late June of 1993. The 17-year-old Aaron Silverman was last seen wearing a coral necklace that was given to him from a girl who was a freelance go-go dancer. The 17-year-old Silverman and the go-go dancer left the party together to go out on a boat. When Aaron Silverman didn't show up at home the next day, everyone figured he spent the night with the girl or crashed with friends. It wasn't unusual for the 17-year-old Silverman to be gone for days at a time. When Aaron Silverman hadn't returned in more than a week, his father reported his 17-year-old son missing to the Norfolk Police Department. Since there was no evidence of foul play, the 17-year-old Silverman was listed as a runaway. Even after all these years, with the victim being well over 18 years of age now, you would think the disappearance of Aaron Silverman would be upgraded. If you have any info concerning the disappearance of 17-year-old Aaron Silverman, please call the Norfolk Police Department Detective Peter Farnsworth at 757-664-3277.
Case 6. Welcome to Charlottesville, Virginia. Missing female. It was on April 6, 1985, when 21-year-old Kimberly Jane Britt, white female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Charlottesville, Virginia. The 21-year-old Kimberly Jane Britt was in a rocky marriage. In March of 1985, while Britt's husband was in Florida, 21-year-old Britt quit her job and left to move to a farm in another county with a man she claimed was just a friend. On April 4th, 1985, the farm owner said he was going to Florida and left 21-year-old Tim Britt at the farm with his valid father, 2 farmhands, and a sister of one of the farmhands. On the morning of April 6, 1985, the 21-year-old Britt told one of the farmhands she was leaving for a while. The 21-year-old Kim Britt left with only her purse and has not been seen or heard from since. On April 6, 1985, Jim Britt's car was found on Interstate 64 eastbound at Route 616 in Albemarle County. The interior of the car was blood-stained and blood was type A, which matched 21-year-old Kim Britt. Her husband and the owner of the farm were investigated and both had solid alibis. Have any info concerning the disappearance of 21-year-old Kim Britt, please call the Virginia State Police, Division 3, Area 21, John Cromer, at 434-414-4450.
Let's take a pause for the cause, and when we return, Olivia and I will profile 6 more missing person cases. Be back in a moment. Welcome back to our MJ podcast. This series, Deep Into the Woods, Episode 16, Part 9, 12 Missing Person Cases. Welcome to the state of Wisconsin. The Doe Network has 77 males and 65 females listed as being missing from the state of Wisconsin. Case 7. Welcome to Black River Falls, Wisconsin. Missing male. It was on January 25, 2012 is when 20-year-old Gene Jacob Cloud Jr., an American Indian male, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Black River Falls, Wisconsin. It was on that day that the 20-year-old Cloud was last seen near Millston area in southern Jackson County. This is when the 20-year-old Cloud's vehicle slid off the road. When he was approached by a police officer and when asked for Cloud's driver's license, the 20-year-old Gene Cloud Jr. ran into the woods, leaving his cell phone in the car. An hour later, a man pulled up to the scene and told police that he saw someone who matched Cloud's description a mile down the road trying to get a ride from passing vehicles. A woman also confirmed seeing the same man in the area. A tracking dog traced the 20-year-old Cloud's path from his car and where he entered the woods. Then Cloud took a path parallel to the road for about a mile to a mile and a half, where the 20-year-old Cloud left the woods and then walked on the road by the edge of the woods. It is believed that Gene Cloud Jr. was picked up by a passing motorist, and his whereabouts since that time is unknown. Is there anyone else listening to this that finds that the police actions were a little over the top? As far as we know, the 20-year-old Cloud's only crime was that he fled from a one-car accident. It's possible the 20-year-old Cloud Jr. didn't have a driver's license. These are all minor offenses, but yet the police brings in a tracking dog? If you have any info concerning the disappearance of 20-year-old Gene Cloud Jr., please call the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, Nicholas Gray, at 715-284-5357.
Casey, welcome to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Missing female. It was on December 12, 2003, when 23-year-old Becky Marie Mazzo, a white female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Before we continue on this case, there is a side note. MJA knows the victim as Becky Marie Kramer. The reason we met the 23-year-old Becky Marie Kramer. The reason being we met 23-year-old Becky Marie Kramer's mother, Karen. 4 MJA staff members met Karen Kramer during a canine search for missing Randy Wilson in Clinton County, Indiana. The canine used was from a Wisconsin group, and Karen Kramer was traveling with the Wisconsin group. Karen Kramer, by the time, had become her own investigator because of her daughter's disappearance. After spending a 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. day searching for Randy Wilson, Karen Kramer asked MJA to take her to the Thorntown, Indiana location where 6-year-old Shannon Shorrow was abducted from on October 5th, 1986. Karen Kramer said she had some ideas about the Cheryl case. After she saw the layout of the abduction site, Karen Kramer gave MJA several ideas to think about. On December 12, 2003, in the late evening hours, 23-year-old Becky Marie Kramer was last seen in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. On that night, the 23-year-old Kramer had been in a bar called Conversation. On that evening, Kramer's live-in boyfriend, Carl A. Rogers III, called the 23-year-old Kramer's cell phone several times. Rogers wanted his girlfriend, 23-year-old Becky Kramer, to come home. Becky told her boyfriend, Carl Rogers, she wasn't ready to leave. The couple argued, and the 23-year-old Kramer turned off her phone. Later in the evening, a girlfriend of the 23-year-old Kramer dropped her off at her home. The girlfriend said Kramer went inside her home, turned on the light, and waved at the girlfriend from the window. 23-year-old Becky Kramer has never been heard from again. Becky Kramer's mother, Karen Kramer, became alarmed when her 23-year-old daughter failed to make contact with the family after her grandfather died and Kramer's brother had an accident. Karen Kramer had to make several attempts to report her daughter, her 23-year-old daughter, as missing. Police would not accept the missing persons report until June 2004. That is 6 months after the 23-year-old Kramer was last seen, and to me, that is unspeakable that law enforcement can act this way. The victim's mother, Karen Kramer, stated that Rogers abused the 23-year-old Kramer very often. There was at least one occasion where Rogers severely beat the 23-year-old Kramer to the point that her nose was broken. Kramer's hair was pulled out, and the 23-year-old Kramer was choked by Rogers. Becky Kramer filed charges against Rogers after her domestic violence. Then the 23-year-old Kramer moved to Florida, where she stayed for 2 months. When Becky Kramer returned to Wisconsin, the 23-year-old resumed her relationship with Rogers. 3 days before 23-year-old Becky Kramer's disappearance, she failed to appear in court about the charges against Rogers, and they were dropped as a result. Becky Kramer's co-workers at a Target store later stated that the 23-year-old Kramer was always reporting bruises, and she seemed depressed when it was close to going home. Rogers has a prior criminal record for weapons and domestic disorderly conduct charges. On October 7th, nearly 4 years after the 23-year-old Kramer was last seen, Rogers died by suicide. At the time of his death, Rogers had been awaiting trial on the charge of sexually assaulting another girlfriend. Rogers had not been cooperative with the police in the investigation into the 23-year-old Kramer's disappearance. Rogers left behind a note where he denied having ever raped or killed anyone. 23-year-old Becky Kramer left behind an uncashed paycheck of $500. Since December 12, 2003, the day of Kramer's disappearance, there has been no activity on her credit card or Social Security number. The victim's mother, Karen Kramer, believes her daughter is deceased. The location of the 23-year-old Kramer's remains taken to the grave with the death of Rogers. If you have any info concerning the disappearance of 23-year-old Becky Mazzo, known as Becky Kramer, please call the Milwaukee Police Department, Sensitive Crimes Division, at 414-935-7405.
Welcome to the state of New York. The Doe Network has 158 males and 150 females listed as being missing from the state of New York. Case 9. Welcome to Buffalo, New York. Missing male. It was May 4th, 1998 is when 26-year-old Thomas James Mixon, a white male, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Buffalo, New York. On that date, in the evening hours, the 26-year-old Mixon was last seen at his home in Buffalo, New York. On May 3rd, 1998 is when the mother of the 26-year-old Mixon last seen her son. 2 days later, the 26-year-old Mixon left a distressing message on his mother's answering machine. When Mixon's mother tried to page him, the message on the 26-year-old Mixon's pager said that he had gone turkey hunting, and if people needed him, that they should contact his roommate. On May 11, 1998, the victim's mother reported her 26-year-old son missing to police. It was alleged that the 26-year-old Mixon and his roommate were drug traffickers. Mixon's mother fears her 26-year-old son and his roommate had been involved in a drug deal that went bad. The home the two men shared was searched by police less than 2 weeks after the 26-year-old Mixon was reported missing. A motive surfaces, and so does a suspect. The 26-year-old Mixon had deeded over his East Side home to the roommate in order to prevent his estranged wife from obtaining it. The day after the 26-year-old Thomas Mixon vanished, the roommate had placed Mixon's belongings outside on the street. In May of 1998, the roommate was charged with second-degree murder in the homicide of 26-year-old Thomas Mixon. According to Mixon's family, the roommate had allegedly bragged to several people, including his ex-girlfriend, that he had killed the 26-year-old Mixon. In March of 2002, the roommate was acquitted on the second-degree murder of 26-year-old Thomas Mixon. It was also rumored that the 26-year-old Mixon was facing heat from the FBI over the drug trafficking, and that Mixon owed money to Jamaican drug dealers. None of those rumors have ever been proven. The 26-year-old Thomas Mixon left behind a young son. If you have any info concerning the disappearance of 26-year-old Thomas Mixon, please call the Buffalo Police Department at 716-851-4444.
Case 10, welcome to Carmel, New York. Missing female. On April 9th, 1995, a 17-year-old Robin Frances Murphy, white female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Carmel, New York. On that date, the 17-year-old Murphy left her home en route to a local restaurant to meet her boyfriend. 17-year-old Robin Murphy was last seen on foot at ShopRite Plaza on Route 52, but Murphy never reached the restaurant. The vehicle belonging to 17-year-old Robin Murphy was located near the Burger King restaurant in the ShopRite Plaza parking lot shortly afterward. Several days later, Robin Murphy's keys, wallet, and checkbook were discovered in a marshy area behind the shopping center. On November 15th, 1997, police divers searched a pond off Nichols Road in Kent, New York. In 1999 and in 2002, police divers searched flooded Tilly Gloucester Mine in the southeastern part of Putnam County. The last person known to have seen the 17-year-old Robin Murphy alive is a convicted criminal, Howard Gombert, who twice had rape charges missed in Putnam County. Suspect Gombert worked at a laundry in the shopping plaza where the 17-year-old Robin Murphy went to meet her boyfriend. The suspect Gombert admitted to seeing Robin Murphy that night but denied any role in her disappearance. When the suspect Gombert was arrested 5 years later in an unrelated sexual assault case, there was underwear belonging to Murphy found in Gombert's suitcase. Gombert has never been charged in relation to the Murphy case. Howard Gombert currently serving 30 years in prison in Connecticut for sexual assault and other offenses. If you have any info concerning the disappearance of 17-year-old Robin Murphy, please call Carmel Town Police, Detective Sergeant Michael Nagel at 845-628-1300.
Welcome to the state of Connecticut. The Doe Network has 29 males and 32 females listed as being missing from the state of Connecticut. Case 11. Welcome to West Haven, Connecticut. Missing male. It was on October 1st, 1994, is when 20-year-old Jerry Dolphin, a black male, disappeared and vanished without a trace from West Haven, Connecticut. It was in mid-October of 1994 is when the 20-year-old Dolphin's family last heard from him. The correct date isn't known, so it's reported that the 20-year-old Dolphin disappeared on October 1st, 1994. Jerry Dolphin's family ended up filing a missing persons report on the 20-year-old Dolphin to the New Haven Police Department. Because Jerry Dolphin always had weekly contact with his family members and friends and never left New Haven area unless he was with his family. Police believe that at the time the 20-year-old Dolphin's disappearance, he was in grave threat of bodily harm, and they believe the 20-year-old Dolphin was killed. Police have developed information that Dolphin was a victim of foul play. Police believe there are individuals who know what happened or can confirm the information police have about the case to help identify those responsible for the crime. Investigators have been continually working on the case, but have not developed a case with as solid enough to obtain an arrest. If you have any info concerning the disappearance of 20-year-old Jerry Dolphin, please call the New Haven Police Department at 203-946-6316.
Case 12. Welcome to Vernon, Connecticut. Missing female. It was on November 1st, 1974, when 13-year-old Lisa Joy White female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Vernon, Connecticut. On that day, the 13-year-old White was grounded at the time, and White waited until her mother left for work at 4:30 p.m. to leave the house. Lisa Joy White walked about 2 miles from her home to visit a friend. On the evening of November 1st, 1974, at around 7:30 p.m., 13-year-old White left a friend's house. She could beat her mom home from work. 13-year-old Lisa Joy White has not been seen since leaving her friend's home. At first, White's disappearance was labeled by police as a runaway, but police now believe foul play is involved. The 13-year-old Lisa Joy White is the third person out of 5 to disappear from this area. 3, including Lisa White, are still missing. It's unknown if their cases are related. If you have any info concerning the disappearance of 13-year-old Lisa Joy White, please call Vernon Police Department, Detective Cody Flanagan, at 860-872-9126.
Okay, Olivia, is there anything you would like to add to these cases?
I'm just curious about what's going on with the case you're involved with.
And which one's that?
I don't have the doc anymore. It was the one in
Wisconsin?
Kramer.
Oh,
Kramer, yeah.
Yeah, we're not actually active working on the case, even though there is a $100,000 reward. But I'm in constant contact with her mother. Her mother's something else. Like I said, that search in Clinton County, Indiana, it was 2 days and more or less all day. And then she still took the time to, like I said, she wanted to go to Thorntown to see where Shannon was abducted. And she's a very nice person. Like I said, she's become her own private investigator. She has a license. And like I say, it's because of her daughter's case. But
It's a shame.
Yeah, that's what got me when we was packing up to go back to the motel. She says, you want to take me to Thorntown? And I says, oh, you want to go to Thorntown? And it was about an hour away. And she says, yeah. She says, I want to check out where she was abducted from. And so we left Clinton County. It was about 5:15 p.m. and we didn't get back to the motel until dark. So we was in Thorntown for at least a couple hours. So. Oh. But yeah, she's a nice woman, and yeah, I'm in contact with her weekly. And
so it's basically, not in regards to this case, but the other cases, it just seems like these people just disappear without a trace.
Oh yeah, that's
There's nothing. There's no evidence or anything left.
yeah,
Am I
that's
right or wrong?
right. Matter of fact,
How does that happen? How do you not find evidence?
that's what I'm
They
saying.
got to leave something behind.
Yeah, see, one of the photos I used for the podcast is one I made myself, and that's what it says. They have vanished without a trace. And
Well, it seems like that a lot of these cases, and you might disagree, I think there's a lot more serial killers out there than you or the police, know of, because these all seem like something a serial killer would do, because usually they're murders, or, they don't really leave.
yeah, see,
You know what I'm saying? It's just not like a guy off the street that's ticked off by his girlfriend or something.
Yeah.
Because that would be a sloppy murder or something. I don't know.
yeah, well, see, we got the distinction of people on the internet calling us experts on serial killers, and it wasn't we as expert on serial killers. It was because we took cold cases that nobody else would touch, and a lot of them led to serial killers. But in no way are we experts. I mean, I know everything you could probably know about serial killers, but as far as being an expert like John Douglas or anybody like that, no, I'm not even at their level. But what I'm saying is that was just the luck of the draw. And then, like I said, we had this one case we took. Is our seventh case we took when we started. Well, we knew it was a truck driver because he was dumping the girls at old truck stops that had been closed down. Well, come find out after we got done, it was 3 serial killers dumping the victims in the same place. It was Bruce.
Really?
It was Bruce Mendenhall, Gary Lucas, and John Williams. And John Williams also had his wife with him a lot of times that he killed. And so see, that was crazy in itself. We was looking for one serial killer and it ended up being 3.
Yeah. And I think the thing I'm saying is, like people that do this stuff for a living, like a serial killer, they don't leave evidence behind. Where, like I said, just like an upset boyfriend or girlfriend, it would be a sloppy murder. So I think that's why a lot of these cases we do, they may have some attachment to a serial killer.
Oh, I imagine a lot of them do, because, like I said...
Not all, but some of them,
Yeah. Well, you just have to look at the MO and see. I also go by, okay, how many searches have been conducted? Has anything been found? And so on, okay?
And then they go cold after a while,
See, some killers won't leave nothing, and then some killers will leave you a trail of clothing, jewelry, whatever. That's just their thing to fuck with everybody,
Right.
Or
they usually, you say, they always take something with them, right?
A lot of
As
times.
a trophy?
Yeah, a lot of times, yes. That's part of their MO.
Which is sick.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I'd like to thank Olivia for being on the show tonight. I would also like to thank our viewers and listeners for tuning in, for y'all have been so kind. I have a quote for you all. The only thing that stands between you and your dream is the will to try and the belief that it is actually possible. Joel Brown. Always remember, folks, that if you ever get bored with nothing to do, well, take a walk deep into the woods. You might be surprised at what you might find. That's the end of our MJ podcast, this series, Deep Into the Woods. This has been episode 16, part 9, 12 missing person cases. And we say to all of you, good night from Morrisonville, New York, located in the Adirondack Mountains.
And I'm haunted in a dream. I don't know how long Had